Across the nation, Americans have been facing higher prices. Everything from food, clothing, gas, and appliances costing a lot more. According to the latest Consumer Price Index, prices rose another 0.9% in October, while the national inflation rate jumped from 5.4 to 6.2%. Financial advisor Mark Grywacheski joining us now live to tell us a little bit more about what inflation really is. Good morning there, Mark.
Good morning, John. First off, this being Thanksgiving week, I do think it's only appropriate we once again give recognition to the news beacon of the Ohio Valley, WKRP, and Cincinnati's very own Les Nessman. The show's episode of Turkeys Away remains one of the greatest TV episodes of all time. I do want to wish you, Angie, I know she's at home today. Certainly the control booth and all of our viewers a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Mark. Same to you.
But kind of getting back to your question here, kind of what exactly is inflation? Inflation is simply the year-over-year increase in prices for consumer goods and services. In October, as you just mentioned, the inflation rate was reported at 6.2%. This means that consumer prices on average have increased 6.2% from October of last year. Now keep in mind, though, John, inflation isn't inherently a bad thing. Rising prices means that people are spending their money, which ultimately drives this economy forward. But the key word with inflation, though, John, is moderation. If prices start rising too high, too fast, it risks consumers suddenly pulling back on their spending. And if that pullback in spending is strong enough, it risks damaging the health and strength of the economy.
What is deemed a moderate pace of inflation compared to where we are now? We're not at moderate pace right now, are we?
Oh, we're certainly not. I wish we were. Look, historically, an inflation rate of around 2%, John, is deemed to be that ideal balance between, rising prices and economic growth. But if inflation starts to rise to that, 2.5%, 3% level, it starts raising alarm bells. And for the past 7 to 8 months, inflation has certainly been well above that 2% benchmark. As you pointed out earlier on, inflation is now at 6.2%, a 31-year high. And when you look at many specific items, beef prices have increased 24% over the past 12 months. Gasoline up 50%. Home energy bills are literally skyrocketing.
When do you think we'll get back to that more moderate pace of inflation?
Hopefully sooner than later, but this extreme level of inflation we're currently seeing is expected to, be slightly dip by the end of next year. But, to be honest, to what extent we simply don't know right now. But even if inflation drops to, say for the sake of argument, 3.5% to 4% by the end of next year. That's still a very, very high level of inflation from a historical context. And we could go well into 2023, John, before we see a return of that, kind of ideal 2% inflation rate.
All right, so let's say the rate of inflation in October of 2022 has dropped from that current 6.2% rate down to 3.5. Okay, so does that mean prices will have declined by 2.7% because what 6.2 minus 3.5 gets you to 2.7?
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, wishful thinking, but no, it really doesn't work that way. It simply means that prices would still be rising, John, just at a slower pace. So if the rate of inflation, according to your argument, in October of next year is 3.5%, that would mean then that prices next October would have increased by 3.5% from the already sky-high prices we're currently seeing right now. So if something now costs you $100, next October it would cost you $103.50.
All right.
I like your line of thought.
You like my line of thinking there, Mark?
I wish that was the case.
Yeah, I wish that was the case too. Thank you very much. As always, we will see you next Monday.
Happy Thanksgiving, John.
You as well. All right, still to come right here on Good Morning Quad Cities.